Hi, I'm Pete Hill. I'm a busy working photographer based in the north of England, and today I'd like to talk to you about PR photography. Most companies and organisations at some point send out press releases to promote their businesses or announce their achievements. A good photograph greatly increases the chance of it being followed up by the press, so this is a real opportunity for photographers. To give you an idea of the sort of shots that's wanted, here are a few examples of my recent work. The first question you might ask is, what sort of camera should I use? The simple answer is your own. Remember, a camera is just a glorified box. It's you that actually takes the pictures. PR shots are sent out as relatively small JPEGs by email, so any half-decent modern camera is more than up to the job. I often compare a good PR shot to a hip-hop song. It has to be short, sharp and to the point. Many years ago when I was at school, most of my friends were into progressive or jazz rock. They'd say, any fool could write a 3-minute pop song, but it takes real talent to create an 8-minute epic. That was a load of baba then and a load of baba now. A hit single requires focus and self-discipline. It's the same with PR photography. If you think your work is a celebration in light and dark, with exquisite tones maintaining shadow detail, stick to fine art. For PR photography, make it big, make it bold. A good PR photograph is about conveying your client's message, in effect, selling. The first question to ask is, what are we trying to achieve here? And who is the target audience? Always bear this in mind when working out how to compose the shot. The next most important thing, as with any photographic session, is building rapport with the subjects. Quite often, the people you are working with are not used to being photographed and probably not that keen. They've been told to do it by their boss. If I had £1 for every time one of my subjects said, "I hate having my photograph taken," I wouldn't be sitting here now. The trick here is to keep the whole session light-hearted and easygoing, because the chances are you're going to ask them to do something that feels odd to them, pose in what seems an unnatural way, or do something strange. If you seem a nice, friendly person, they're more likely to cooperate. It's also very important they've got a smile on their face. A newspaper or magazine won't print a picture of someone looking pissed off. Okay, so now to the boring bit. For most of my PR work, I use this quite old Nikon D300. For commercial work, when quality is paramount, I use the D800. But PR shots are sent out as JPEGs by email, so the files need to be a manageable size. I've stuck on an 18-200 zoom, which covers most eventualities. The other big consideration here is weight. If you're carrying your camera bag around all day, you don't want to be lugging cases of unnecessary heavy kit. Keep it simple, keep it light. Most of my shots are taken at the wider end of the range, 28 or 20, even 24mm equivalent on a full frame camera. I wouldn't go any wider than this. The distortion makes people's heads look odd. When shooting outdoors, I always use fill-in flash. I turn the power right down just to soften the shadows and put a twinkle in the eye. Do not overdo it. The bland, flat effect from too much fill looks awful. Indoors, if possible, I always try and set up portable lighting, even if it's just a single monoblock head. Again, keep it simple and natural. You never get twin shadows or double highlights in the eyes in nature. However, the exception proves the rule to all my suggestions. After all, the reason you're in this business is to be creative. Right, so you've done the job. Now let's talk about post-production and getting the pics to the client. I always shoot RAW format. It gives you so much more control over the finished pic regarding exposure, colour balance, contrast, highlight and shadow detail. You can't go wrong with Adobe Camera Raw and Photoshop. It's what every picture desk and publication use, so no nasty surprises when they open it up. Make sure your monitor is colour balanced, use a specialist kit, and then keep checking the colour readings in the info panel in Photoshop, off a white or neutral grey part of the image. It's important to give the client bags of choice. I regularly shoot getting on for 100 pics, even on a simple PR job, and generally supply around 30 colour-balanced, cropped images to them. Mainly they tend to be horizontal format, as there are usually 2 or more people in them, but I always try and get a few vertical ones in as well. As I've said before, the final shot will be sent out by email, so keep those file sizes reasonable. They must be 300 dpi. That is the printing industry norm. I suggest cropping them to 10 inches by 7. This gives the file size when opened of 18 meg and saving them around a level 8 JPEG in Photoshop. I aim for a compressed size of about 1 meg. If it goes below 800 kilobytes, take it up a notch. If it goes above 1.2, take it down a notch. Picture desks will not be impressed with having to download large files. The client will want the pictures straight away, or preferably sooner. Absolutely no getting them over in the next few days. The very latest is by first thing the following morning after the shoot. You can attach a few to an email, but it's worth subscribing to a hosting service like Zenfolio or Dropbox. Upload everything to the site, then send the client a secure link. I also recommend posting a backup disk. Now, the tricky one. What to charge? Obviously this is up to you, but don't get greedy. I've read so many magazine articles about not undervaluing your work, which is true, but you are dealing with hard-headed business people here, with one eye always on the bottom line. I once had a conversation with a fellow photographer who was boasting about how much he charged for public relations work, which was nearly getting on for double what I charged. I asked him if he did many PR jobs, to which he proudly replied he'd done one just the other week. I pointed out I regularly shoot a couple of jobs a day. Well, that's enough from me for the time being. I hope this gives you an insight into this particular branch of photography. You might not get rich, but you can make a good living and have a lot of fun along the way. Meet interesting people and get to poke your nose into lots of other people's business. Needless to say, if you are a PR company or would like some PR photographs taken, I would love to hear from you. If you're a fellow photographer, good luck.